Hi, my name is Rainier Varia, and I am the Executive Cybersecurity Technical Leader covering the public sector, and I will be presenting a quick overview of our SOAR solution today. So listen, we hear it in the news all the time, and it's become a common occurrence on a daily basis that we've started to mute it until it happens in our own backyard, but by then it's a little too late, right? The incident response challenges and use cases will continue to occur unless we go on the offense and automate our responses to an incident for faster mitigation. So let's take a step back and look at security from a C-level perspective. Today, C-level executives recognize that their business will succeed or fail by success of its digital strategy, and part of that transformation leads to greater exposure. Organizations increasingly realize that the need to secure these investments from cyber attack or risk regulatory penalties, competitive disadvantages, reputational risk, and even the actual viability of the business. So we see challenges impacting security teams across the board in a few different areas. Or primary areas. Across all the industries, we're seeing that the number of attacks are increasing. And just so, for example, 95% of all attacks on enterprises are the result of successful spear phishing. And there's a significant lack of resources that are not able to keep up with the increased number of attacks. More data is being created, it's being changed. Shared and stored than ever before, right? So being able to collect and process data is critical to running a digital business, but it can also create liabilities if it's mismanaged. And the continuous waves of information that organizations are facing today, the new data make it challenging to understand what data they actually have, where it actually lives, and how it's being used, because it's so dynamic, especially as more and more data is migrated to and from the cloud, which speeds up this movement and makes the data more accessible to new parties, right? It also creates the risk around whether or not the privacy of that data is actually being protected. On the subject of regulatory requirements, new mandates are being created and are more stringent around how you handle data, especially when it relates to individuals. And it seems like a new regulation is being passed every month, and keeping up with the variations across geographies presents another challenge on its own. But the penalties, of course, for not complying with these different regulations are very steep and can result in fines or even jail time, and nobody wants to face that. So perhaps because of the two challenges that I just discussed, we're seeing an explosion of new vendors and tools to help organizations manage and protect their data. There's always that shiny new object that organization seems to gravitate to, but how can you be sure that that niche tool are providing the comprehensive or deep protection that you actually really need? And how do you deal with the challenges of managing and integrating the different data protection tools for different types of data, like structured and unstructured, or different environments like on-prem and cloud? So this creates that significant operational complexity that is another challenge on its own. And this is all on top of business drivers that grows a business and your brand. So let's ask ourselves some questions as it relates to your environment, right? So think about your existing and current posture, security posture in your environment today. And these first few questions are around IOCs. You know, how many events and incidents do you see per week, and how long does it take to actually resolve these? Do you actually have the data to access your performance or the impact of that indicators of compromises, right? These next set of questions are around resources and skill sets. So do you currently run a SOC environment? If you do, how many security analysts do you actually have? And what are their actual areas of expertise? Are they able to handle different types of IOCs that you're experiencing today? And will they be able to have the skill sets to mitigate them, right? What is their workload? Who else do you leverage to help support your response activities? So think about that for a little bit. And then third set of questions are around compliance. How are you monitoring your regulatory data protection obligations in the case of a data breach? So when a data breach happens, there's some documentation that has to happen, and you have to actually report that to a governing body, right? Do you have the actual data to be able to support what your findings are? And then lastly, what security tools do you have at your disposal? Do you have a SIM? Do you have network logging tools? Do you have endpoint management tools, etc.? These are just a few questions that any SOC should be asking themselves in order to improve their security posture and help defend your business, right? So let's also take a look at what if scenarios from a threat and attack perspective. How long did it take you today to minimize a threat? Well, what if we could minimize the duration and impact of cyber attacks with a mature SOAR platform, right? And then from a staffing and automation perspective, what if we could optimize security ops efficiencies and reduce staff burnout throughout automation and intelligent orchestration? And then, again, going back to regulations and compliance, how are you meeting reporting requirements to show you're in compliance today? What if you could meet breach reporting requirements and effortlessly deliver the evidence to show that you are in compliance? And then lastly, from a cost and complexity perspective, are you using your security investment wisely, right? What if you could maximize your return on the right tools to meet your security needs? So those are all questions you should be asking yourselves, and kudos to you if you're able to answer all those questions and have the right tool sets, but not many organizations are in that scenario, right? So there are three characteristics that IBM takes a look at to have an effective SOC environment, right? IBM continues to be an overall security leader in this space because of our unique point of view on security orchestration, automation, and incident response. And this is why we believe organizations need smarter data protection delivered via a unified platform, right, that enables you to do three key things. Number one, respond with confidence. So as you innovate, so you can seamlessly adopt new technologies while remaining secure. Second would be automate with intelligence, so you can reduce risk with less effort. And then finally, collaborate with consistency, so you can understand the data risk anywhere in your environment. So when you have these core areas all working together, you're able to not only protect your data, but to do so in a way that accelerates your existing business and technology processes. So let's dig into each of these three pillars a bit more to explain why we think they're important and how your data protection solution should support each one. So I think we can all agree that confidence encourages action, which in turn accelerates resolutions and preempts the spread of threat. So how do we deliver that confidence? Well, unlike others in the industry, we present a very clear picture of the specific threats facing the business through those customizable and actionable analytics and dashboard with incident metrics to evaluate and correct the processes. And we're able to see the relationship between the artifact and the incidents and the timelines of recent activities to uncover a more broader, more complex attack and focus on the right task to execute on. IBM will also help you capture and codify industry and institutional knowledge that supports implementation of playbooks to accelerate the incident resolution. And we also help empower your existing staff to adapt response processes to meet the attack by quickly and easily through the use of a very neat visual drag and drop playbook editor. That confidence that opens trust in an industry leading knowledge base of global regulatory requirements and map data breach response plans to these regulations. So armed with these guided insights to threat and priorities, while providing clarity through all the noise, enables your SOC analysts to act with the knowledge and with greater confidence in decisions. So given the volume of attacks Removing the manual actions focuses attention on critical items that warrant analysts' attention. Okay, so intelligence delivers the right information and context to support that automation. So how do we deliver that intelligence with our source solution? First, we streamline and automate the excessive manual, time-consuming, and repetitive tasks. For example, incident and artifact enrichment and triage. And then second, we tie the systems together. It's that security ecosystem and threat intelligence sources to pull data from connected systems to bring greater context and extend response. We also focus expertise on high-value investigation and response, and better guide your analysts through expert-level response, and thereby reducing that time to find, to respond to, and remediate complex cyber threats. So we can do all of these things by leveraging the depth and the breadth of the integration with the supported and validated apps. Ultimately, we are achieving more with available resources that enable trust in actions and extends across the IT and security ecosystem that results in greater speed and efficiency with your responses. So when an attack actually occurs, there's always confusion and uncertainty, right? Whether they are undocumented or inconsistent processes or a lack of skills, disparate data, or understanding of an attack, as an example, will result in inaction or poor action and will naturally extend that response time, which has a domino effect that will increase risk and result in potential data loss, downtime, and degraded reputation, right? So how can we deliver consistency? Well, we can react faster, right? Coordinate better, respond smarter by working with a common platform for cross-team views into every incident. That will not only, prioritize tasks and actions to ensure the right person has the right information and complete visibility into each cyber case, including all related IOCs. By having a common platform, we work effectively as a team, making use of the most effective communications channels, such as Slack, for example, to update teams on activities and status. Number two, that will guide and execute investigations and response actions consistently through a defined, repeatable, and validated set of processes, or SOPs, and best practices that establishes an auditable record of what occurs during an incident. So with a common platform, we can achieve operational efficiencies with well-defined processes across organizational boundaries and with clear visibility into those activities. So, Rainier, I want to know how it works. How does it actually work? Well, first I want to draw your attention to the common platform that I've been describing, and that brings the disparate security data together. And we're showcasing here the flow of incident information in 4 phases. All of the logos that you see here are represent a published app that customers can use today. And there's many more that have been left out, but these are some of the big ones. So let's start with the input and escalation, which typically is from the SIM as the primary feed for suspected incidences, right? But clients will often connect up to a ticketing system separately, as this doesn't generally feed into the SIM, and also a DLP tools such as Semantic or Code 42 for insider threat use cases. I also want you to note that the integration is bidirectional, right? As information can be passed back to update the SIM rules and reference sets. So next up is the automated enrichment phase. This phase will typically happen even before an analyst has logged into the incident. And there are 10 threat feed built into Resilient by default, including X-Force, IBM X-Force, and many others can be added through integrations on the App Exchange or custom integration. The LDAP and the CMDB queries to check internal data are also common automation, as is checking for known vulnerabilities against affected systems. And by providing the analyst with this information when they log into the incident, we can significantly reduce the investigation time. Next, we have the manual enhancement phase. And based on the investigation, the analyst may want to trigger other queries. And some examples here include searching endpoint devices for common file types or malware hashes, maybe even exploiting a suspicious file in a malware sandbox. And then another example is searching for additional examples of suspected phishing emails. So all of these are integrations could be pre-configured and provided to the analyst within Resilient, with the result published to data tables inside the incident record, so the analyst does not need to be trained on any specific tool. And then finally, we have remediation, and these are examples that I'm going to talk through in a minute here, where an analyst might trigger the remediation process. Right? Typically, we see this as orchestration, where the human drives the process as opposed to automation. So an example would be raising a ticket in the ticketing system. It's a common route, particularly if you're looking to re-image machine, patch servers, or update firewall rules. Often these tasks, which IT ops will do. So bidirectional integration with the ticketing system means that these actions can still be tracked as part of the overall incident. Then we also have crisis communication as another example. In the event that this has turned into a critical incident, you might want to trigger a wider process, and you could set it up an incident-specific Slack channel, or create a WebEx, or even use a specific crisis management platform like Everbridge. A couple more examples. You can also suspend a user account in Active Directory or LDAP, or you can block or remove a file from all the endpoints. All right, so let's take a look a little bit about what the architecture looks like. So this is a visual representation of the Resilient solution, and we'll start from the bottom going up. So the Resilient platform is available either on-premise or SaaS. And for on-premise, we provide the client with a virtualized Red Hat appliance with full environment needed to run Resilient. The SaaS offering is delivered by the IBM Cloud from data centers in North America and Europe. And the base Resilient Soar platform includes all the components to deliver SOC automation and incident response. So clients get a full case management and dynamic playbook with all the pre-configured playbook content for specific incident types, such as malware, system intrusions, and phishing, as some of examples. Other main functionality include the orchestration and automation engine to add apps from the IBM App Exchange, or customer integrations to Resilient playbooks and workflows. So these can be customized via the drag and drop visual workflow editor that I mentioned in a few slides before. Clients can also take advantage of detailed dashboard and reporting. Any field in the Resilient platform can be tracked and measured through custom reports and widgets. These are also good for trends over time in incident response. And these reports can be delivered in the platform, or data can be exported into external analytics platforms like Tableau using the Data Feeder app. And in the top row, in addition to the core capabilities delivered, there is also additional licensable add-ons that are available on a per user basis. And these are, let's take the first module, which is privacy, that support for 170 global breach notification regulations, adding new tasks related to them into an incident playbook to track privacy and security tasks in the same incident. The second one is the MSSP, or multi-tier management for Resilient, and that's the ability to run multiple Resilient child orgs in a single appliance. So with support from, of course, global and local configuration management, and a global dashboard for visibility across multiple customers. The next module is also the team management module, and that's the ability to segregate and manage separate teams and classes of users in the Resilient platform, and it's designed to support the extended enterprise of your organization. Of course, disaster recovery This recovery is always essential, right? So we provide license support for a secondary resilient platform and data synchronization in the event of a main system failure to ensure that business continuity for an end-to-end solution. And then lastly, another add-on is a non-production environment, and this license provides clients with the ability to run multiple development instances of the Resilient platform. So that's a security resilient architecture at a high level. I do want to talk about a little bit and mention Cloud Pak for Security and how it integrates SOAR for that unified platform. So Cloud Pak for Security is an open and integrated platform that connects to your data where it is and connects workflows in a unified experience. So it combines the threat intelligence, the federated search, and case management security capabilities that provides an end-to-end security platform to meet the challenges facing organizations today. So if you focus your attention on the bottom of this chart, you'll see an initial list of data sources that the platform connects to. And these data connectors are built using open source technology that's available on GitHub under the Sticks Shifter project, meaning that anyone can build a data connector. The next level up shows that our Curator SIM product is commercially available as part of the Cloud Pak for Security. While it is not running on OpenShift and integrated into the experience, buying Curator as part of the Cloud Pak for Security provides a pricing model based on managed virtual servers with no additional charges for data, the log, the flows, the events, actions, or the users. The top portion of the chart shows the Cloud Pak for Security is pre-integrated with Red Hat OpenShift hybrid multi-cloud platform so that you can deploy it where you choose in a public cloud, private cloud, or on-premise. And the platform itself in the blue top layer is made up of both core platform services and security capabilities that run on top of them and are tied together in a unified workflow. Some of the core platform services that come with Cloud Pak for Security is Universal Data Insight, which refers to the data services that enable security capabilities to connect to those data sources. You see it below at the bottom, and access the data in a standardized way without the need to move or migrate it, right? Security orchestration is another core capability, security capability. Orchestration and automation is core to this platform with over 150 integrations to security and IT tools, including Red Hat Ansible, an automation abstraction layer that can execute actions across hybrid cloud infrastructures, pulling from an ecosystem of about 100 plus of playbooks and connectors. To the right of that, we have the development framework that is built into the platform to enable anyone to build data connectors as well as ultimately to build more capabilities as applications on top of the platform. The actual security capabilities that come with Cloud Pak for Security, the three main components are the threat intelligence insight that helps enable SOC analysts to consume threat intelligence from X-Force Exchange and X-Force Iris, and then also view those threats and have them prioritized by relevance to their organization and scan their connected data sources to see if IOCs are found in that environment. The module after that is the Data Explorer, which then provides that ability to run federated searches across the data sources, listed at the bottom, of course, of the slide to investigate threats and IOCs in your environment without having to move the data. And then lastly, and this is how our SOAR integrates into this platform, is Resilient. And Resilient provides that case management so you can save investigations into a case and further extend your incident response process with orchestration and automation, along with the dynamic playbooks and artifact mapping and much more. So, what does this look like in the real world as it is today without Resilient? And then what does it look like if we were to take advantage of the SOAR solution from IBM? Well, this is a real-world example of the cost savings achieved by resilient customers. The customer is a large global pharmaceutical company with multiple SOCs in Europe, Asia, and the US. So they had a major challenge with the consistency of their execution around incident response, which led them to deploy Resilient platform. And these are real numbers here. So this is an example which the stock team captured of their previous manual process for an IR task that they would undertake multiple times a week, showing the time savings they have achieved by automating key parts of this process, as well as the additional value they were unable to deliver previously, such as management reporting. So this concludes the high-level overview of IBM Soar solution, and we'd love to talk to you in a little bit more detail and more refined in terms of the requirements of your environment. But first, I want to kind of summarize what we discussed today. And number one, our Soar solution helps prioritize and manage incident responses across teams with a shared understanding of what's happening and what to do, right? So you're managing the incident response. Number two, we also automate the routine tasks and provide our staff with the tools that they need to solve the hard problems and resolve issues quickly. So you're really uplifting the security ops for its efficiency. Number three, we also understand our obligations across the regulatory landscape. So we remain compliant and aren't penalized unnecessarily. So from a compliance and regulatory requirements, you're fulfilling those regulations. And then fourth, reducing the complexity and maximize our IT and security investments. And that's really all about streamlining the operation, right? And providing an impact that will reduce the mitigation of any threats in your environment. And then my last slide here is just a list of links and resources that you can click on to find out more detail. I also want to thank you for the opportunity for me to present to you. And IBM is always open to have more detailed discussions that will resonate for your environment and meet your requirements. So thank you very much.